Hi everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar today on implementing excise movement and control systems using SAP Global Trade Services. Our speaker Vishal will be discussing on the excise duties on tobacco, alcohol, energy, and also the scenarios that can arise around those industries. Vishal Garg, our presenter, is an experienced SAP GTS consultant with over 10 years of experience. Working as a part of Crypt GTS team, he provides advice to clients on how to implement SAP GTS and address clients' global compliance requirements. On the next slide, I'll go over some housekeeping tips. If any question arises during the webinar, please type them into the GoToWebinar panel as shown in the example. We will try to address questions at the end of presentation during our live Q&A portion. On the next slide, I'll quickly like to introduce Crypt. Crypt Inc. is a leading consulting SAP partner operating globally with over 800,000 hours of SAP consulting in various industries. We provide services such as implementation, upgrades, and customization around various SAP solutions, including trade, transportation, warehouse planning, and HANA. We offer custom solutions, integration services, and we work closely with SAP for ramp-ups and testings. On the next slide, I'd like to share our thought leadership. These are some books that we have authored in the SAP supply chain space. We also do have 100+ blogs and white paper which are available on our website. If anyone wants to know more about our blogs or white paper, they could just put a question in the GoTo panel and I'll try to send those links to you directly. Moving on to the next slide. This is an overview of our proprietary offerings which complement the SAP suite. I want to take a second and talk about Crypt Connect. Crypt Connect is a software that interfaces SAP system to or with any non-SAP ERP systems. On the next slide, these are just some companies that we have worked in the SAP supply chain space. I'd like to pass it to Vishal now.
Hello everyone, this is Vishal Garg. So today I would be covering about excise movement and control system. And these are the some content I would be presenting for the day. So starting with the excise duty, and then I'll be talking more about the EMCS system and other online portals which are part of this whole process. And then I would be covering about some standard scenarios used within EMCS, followed by specialized one, along with some reminders, time limit, messages used within the system. Afterwards, I will be just quickly discussing about the configuration that is done in the SAP GTS system. So before getting into the details of EMCS, let me give you a brief introduction about excise duty and various arrangement of excise duty within European Union. So excise duty are indirect taxes applied on the sale or use of specific products. With the launch, so what happened is that with the launch of single market in 1993, tax controls at the borders between member states were abolished and common provisions were adopted to facilitate cross-border trade of certain products and ensure that duties for these products were applied. So within European Union, excise duties are applicable on alcohol, tobacco, and energy products at the final point of consumption. And that traders distribute these goods either under excise duty paid or excise duty suspension. And to circulate the good under excise duty suspension, these goods must transit together with administrative document, commonly known as AAD. And manual processing of these administrative document is quite a labor-intensive and time-consuming task, and that too for both traders and member state. So this what gave rise to EMCS, Excise Movement and Control System. So which is a computerized system for monitoring the movement of excise goods within the European Union. And it replaces the paper-based AAD with an electronic administrative document known as EAD. So the main purpose for this EMCS is to combat fiscal fraud in real time, ensures the secure movement of excise goods for which duties still need to be paid, then simplify procedures for traders, for importers, for exporters, using the standardized procedures, then speed up the release of guarantees when goods arrive at the point of destination. Also, it creates seamless paper-based administration for both exporters, importers, and member states. SEED, so System for Exchange of Excise Data. So this is an online portal. So in order to use EMCS, both consignor and consignee must be registered in the system for exchange of excise data, commonly known as SEED. So before trading any goods, traders must validate the excise number of the other trader on SEED and must verify what categories of goods the traders in question authorized to trade. And it can be done by using the standard web browsers provided by this SEED online portal. So here's the list of all the European member states who have signed up for using excise movement and control system. So it involves mostly all the European countries. So for every product, there has to be a combined nomenclature that is provided by the member state. So for both exporters and importers, they are required to classify every item which is liable for excise good to be classified using these excise product codes. And this is for all kind of products under excise duty suspension like tobaccos, alcohol, and energy products. So in order to run the EMCS processes, there are four main entities that involves during the end-to-end process. So first is the consignor, so the trader entitled to dispatch goods under excise duty suspension arrangement. So as an example, BAT, British American Tobacco, which is a leading manufacturer of tobacco, it could be a consignor sending their goods across to a retailer, such as eCigarettes World. So eCigarettes World, in this case, is a consignee. The trader entitled to receive goods under excise duty suspension arrangement. And along with these two entities, there are two main entities. One is the member state of dispatch, which is sort of an administration in the consignor's member state, responsible for monitoring the outgoing traffic. So if BAT is based out in UK, then UK, a United Kingdom member state, will act as a member state of dispatch. On the other hand, from the consignee's perspective, again, a member state need to be involved. So if suppose eCigarettes World is based out in France, then a French member state will get involved in order to communicate all kind of messages from member state of dispatch to member state to the consignee. So now I will quickly discuss about some standard scenarios. So there are two standard scenarios, one from the consignor's perspective and another one from the consignor's perspective. So from the consignor perspective, it's all about submission of electronic administrative document from the consignor, which will then pass from member state of dispatch to member state of destination, and from member state of destination, it will be sent across to the consignor. So what happens over here? Consignor will first create an electronic administrative document that will have all sort of information like what sort of item it is, what kind of transport it is using to send the goods across to consignee. what is the nomenclature code used on for all those products, what's the packaging type, what's the transport ID. So all that information needs to be sent to the member states before initiating the movement of goods. So moment that a draft electronic administrative document will be sent across to member state of dispatch, acknowledgement will be sent back to the consignor that it has successfully received the electronic administrative document. That document then will be sent across to the member state of destination, and member state of destination will send that data to the consignee. So now consignee will know that they would be receiving the goods based on the electronic document they have received. So from the SAP GTS standpoint, there are exchange of messages happening. So on the top, we can see that it is using some codes, message codes for sending the information. So these message codes are defined by the member states, which is like FESS. So they are part of the standardized procedures given by member state. So using these electronic messages, the communication will happen between the consignor, consignee, and all the involved member states. Now, the acknowledgement will be sent again in as per those electronic messages types. So here we can see on the left bottom side, it's a screen from SAP GTS from the consignor's perspective, and on the right side, there's a screen from GTS from the consignor's perspective. So what's happening is that we are sending messages like M9000, which is all about sending the messages, electronic administrative messages to member state of dispatch. And in return, it will receive acknowledgement in a form of IE801. Once they have received that acknowledgement, the member state of destination will also send a message, IE801, across to the consignee. And once the consignee have received that message, the consignor can send an email just for the sake of confirmation to the consignee. Now, from the consignee's perspective, they need to send the receipt of goods. So once they have received the goods, then they are liable to send the report of receipt back to the consignor, and also inform member state of destination and dispatch that they have received the goods. So again, the same thing would happen here. The electronic report of receipt will be initiated from the consignor. It'll be sent to the member state of destination. Member state of destination immediately will send an acknowledgement back to the consignee that they have received the report of receipt. That message will be sent across to member state of dispatch, and member state of dispatch will send it to the consignor. In this way, the entire end-to-end process for sending the goods from consignor back, all the way to receiving the goods from the consignor's perspective would be complete, and the document can be closed. So here again, it just quickly shows the messages exchange between the consignee, member states, and the consignor. And at the bottom of the screen, these are the list of messages shown from the consignors as well as the consignee's standpoint. So apart from these standard scenarios, there could be some other scenarios that can arise, which could be like we want to cancel, the consignor want to cancel the electronic administrative documents sent to the consignee. So they may have to cancel the electronic document, reason being there could have been some error, or they may not have the goods in time. So there could be several reasons for canceling the electronic administrative documents. And bear in mind, this can only be sent before the goods has been sent out from the warehouse of the consignor. So it's very much similar to the process we have seen earlier, but it's the only difference is the messaging IDs we are using for the cancellation. So again, it will start from the consignor. A validated cancellation document will be sent across to the member state of dispatch. Acknowledgement will be sent back to the consignor. The cancellation then will be forwarded off to the destination, and the consignee will finally know that the electronic document has been cancelled. And here again, it just shows how these messages are administered under SAP GTS from the consigner and consignee's perspective, and the IDs of the messages used for cancelling the electronic administrative document. Now, if suppose consigner would like to cancel the electronic administrative document after goods have been issued, then there are two provisions provided by EMCS. So first, in the case of any event happened, such as any accident had happened or the goods have been destroyed during the movement, in those cases, an event can be reported off to the consignee to let them know that they no longer would be receiving any goods, and the member state would also be sent this event reports so that they make the relevant changes at their side, that these goods are no longer moving off from the consignor to the consignee. The other reason could be that consignee would like to return the product they have received back to the consignor. So in that case, a change of destination ID, message IDs can be triggered. So here it quickly shows how the messages movement happens in the case of change of destination. So let's suppose initially we have the former consignee which have already received electronic administrative document and the goods, and now we would like to return those goods back to the consignor. In that case, the consignor will send an update destination request to the member state of dispatch. So that message now would have the former consignee name as well as a new consignee name, and in the new consignee name they can straight away put their own address. So now what would happen, a message would be sent across to the member state of destination, and the new member state of destination, in this case it will be the same as member state of dispatch. And the former consignee would know that these goods need to be sent off from their end back to the new consignee. So there is some exchange of messages happening in this whole process, where new consignee and the former consignee receiving the updated electronic administrative document together. So here again, it shows how these messages are handled by SAP GTS. So a message would start from the consignor perspective. It will be cascaded down to member state of dispatch, to the former member state of destination and the new member state of destination. The old former consignee will receive the change of destination request, while the new consignee will receive a fresh electronic administrative document. Now, in this case, the alert of rejection messages can be initiated by the consignee. So after receiving the electronic administrative document, if the consignee no longer wanted to get those goods, they can straight away raise an alert for rejecting the administrative document. And that alert would start from consignee. The member state of destination would know about the cancellation. They don't want to continue with the movement. The member state of destination sends the message back to the member state of dispatch, and the consignor would finally know that their electronic administrative document has been rejected by the consignee, and they won't continue with the good receipt of the excise goods. So here again, it just quickly shows the movements of the messages for alert or rejection. So I will just quickly move on to the next slide. So in the case of post-delivery processing, there are certain messages. There could be certain scenarios where the consignee may have received the goods in short or in access. So in those cases, consignee may like to communicate the same messages to the member state as well as to the consignor that they have received the goods in excess or in shortage. So here again, it just quickly shows what are the messages IDs used for sending the data from consignee to the consignor. Now, there are some reminders messages provided by EMCS framework. So reminder of time limits for the change of destination. So what happens if the member state of dispatch is informed about the partial or total refusal of consignment, then it starts the timer in background. And if no action has been taken by the consignor upon the expiry of that timer, then member state of dispatch sends them reminder messages, which is IE802, as you can see on the screen. And on the on the receipt of the reminder message, the consignor is expected to respond as soon as possible with any of these messages, like change of destination or cancellation. Coming on to the next slide, so which is about reminder for update of destination. So in this case, if the EAD is submitted with empty destination field, the member state of dispatch starts a timer. And if no action has been taken by the consignor upon the expiry of the timer, then member state of dispatch sends a reminder messages, which is message IE802. Coming on to the next slide. So this is the reminder for report of receipt. So once an EAD has been validated, and if consignee have not received the goods, then there could have been certain delays in sending the report of receipt back to the member state and consignor. In that case, again, moment the EAD is validated, member state of dispatch will start a timer, and it will wait for a report of receipt to come from member state of destination. And if it doesn't come, then it will again trigger a reminder messages to member state of destination as well as to the consignor. And it again quickly shows what messages getting exchanged from the consignor to the member state and the consignor. Now, from the configuration standpoint, there are a lot of configuration involved. But I will quickly show from the process template wise that what are the various messages configured from the consignor and as well as from the consignor perspective. So from the consignor's perspective, there are certain messages which is configured, as you can see at the bottom right, like sending off EAD document, sending an email, canceling the EAD document, sending any reminder messages, any explanation. And from the consignee's perspective, it's more about sending a report of receipts, asking for explanation, rejecting any EAD, or sending a reminder message. So these are some messages, but it doesn't mean it cannot have any more messages based on any localization within Europe. There could be more, but these are some standard messages. Now, I will quickly show how these documents move from consignor to the member state and how the messages are created, how the documents are created and sent across to the member state. So this is just a quick demonstration about how to submit an electronic administrative document. So this is where we see the main menu of SAP GTS area menu, and we will be going under the custom management for control of goods movement subject to excise duty. So here we are creating administrative document from the consignor's perspective, and we will come on to the communication tab, and here we'll see the first message, which is all about drafting an EAD and sending it off to the member state. On running the incompletion, there are a lot of information that need to be pulled in before sending the administrative document, starting with the partner functions like consignee, who's the consigner, how we are transmitting the data, what's the place of delivery, what's the place of dispatch. So all of that information pulled under the partner tab. Then we talk about the transport types. That what's the mode of transport, how much time does it take to move the goods from one end to the other. What's the invoice number this item is linked to that need to be provided. Then what's the departure type, whether it's a text warehouse, whether it's a registered entity on seed. So here it's a registered consignee or the tax. So we have selected tax warehouse. What's the transport? Who's the transport administrator, whether it's a consignee or a consigner? Then about the guarantee, who's taking the guarantee of the movement, whether a consigner is taking the guarantee or the transporter is taking the guarantee for moving the goods. Now here under geography, we will mention about the member state, that what's the office of entry, what's the office of exit. In our case, the office of entry is UK and the exit is Germany. Now, after creating the header data, we have to create the item data, that what items are we moving under the Excise movement and control system. So all that information need to be pulled under the item level data. So here we can see we have Excise duty code E200. Now we will tell them about what packaging type we're using, whether it's a barrel, whether it's a crate, and if a number of packages required. If we have the package number, then we will be entering the package number as well. Now, last but not the least, we have to provide data regarding the transport equipment, that what equipment are we using to move the goods from one end to the other. And then providing all relevant information like the IDs of the transport, it could be like the seal number or anything. Now we can quickly rerun the incompletion log to see whether we have provided all the relevant data. So yeah, message is showing here as complete, and we can simply go and execute that message. So we can see that the draft EAD has been executed successfully, and the document will now wait for acknowledgement for iMessages from the member state. Now, just to quickly tell you that this is a test system, so we don't really have a connection made to the member state. So we are using a simulator wherein we are simulating the action from the member state. So this is a simulator. Herein we will be pulling in the details from the document, like the document number and the year. And here, this is a message that member state would be sending across to the consigner. So this message is gone from the member state, and we will check whether this acknowledgement message has been received for that document in GTS. So we will quickly get into that document again. So here is our document. So once we have opened, we can see that it has received identification number, a long digit identification number. Also, we have received the acknowledgement in the form of I9010. And simply we can send an email to the consignee that everything has been successfully been communicated to the member state, and we can now initiate the movement of the goods. So this is a whole process from the submission of an EAD. And with the end of this video, bring me towards the end of this presentation as well. And if you have any questions, I'm free to answer them.
Thank you, Vishal. If anyone has any question, they can just type into the GoToMeeting panel. We have some questions come in, Vishal, but I think we just have time for just one question, then we can address the other questions in an email later on. So I'll just address the first question which we received. How easy it is to integrate EMCS with SAP and non-SAP feeder systems?
Okay, so basically, unlike other application areas, ERP integration for EMCS is not delivered as part of SAP GTS. So that means the interface for EMCS are not part of the GTS plugin. Instead, a framework is provided that allows flexible integration of EMCS with SAP and non-SAP system. So there are 8 integration scenarios available with SAP GTS. And these 8 integration scenarios in the GTS application are implemented as function modules and can be called via RFC. So I hope this answers your question.
Thank you, Vishal. I think there's one more which we can answer. Once EMCS is configured for one EU country, how easily this could be extended to other EU countries?
Okay, so this is a part of the localization. So the EMCS process in regards to the European specification has been generically implemented and available within the SAP GTS. But for any new EU member state, a specific localization has to be done on top of the generic implementation. So as per the implementation handbook of the EU member state, because every EU member state have their own handbook apart from some generic processes provided by FESS, which is like a functional excise system specification. And these localized implementation may have like a mapping of protocols. So some countries use EDI FAC, some countries use X12, and printout could be different. Data for the communication could be different. So these are the things that need to be localized for each EU member state.
Thank you, Vishal. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending the webinar. Hope everyone has a nice day. Thank you.